day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's geography lesson. My name is Nomthandazo Malembe. This lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Parama Research and Development. So today, learners, we are focusing on map work. Under map work, we're going to look at the map skills as well as your map calculations. But before we start with our lesson, I just want us to go through our lesson objective for today. By the end of this lesson, learners, you should be able to identify the map skills, and you must be able to do the interpretation of the map, and also you must be able to do the following calculations. We're going to look at the distance, we're going to look at the area, we're going to calculate the magnetic bearing, and then lastly, we're going to calculate our gradient. So, taking you back to our pre-knowledge baseline, in grade 8 and 9, we have learned about calculating a distance. So the first thing that we have learned in grade 8 and 9 is the formula. We said the formula of calculating a distance, its distance is equal to map distance times scale. And then secondly, you have learned that finding a map distance, you measure with your 30 centimeter ruler with the 2 points or the pictures that you are given. Remember, when you are doing your measurement, you always start at 0 up until the next, and we are measuring in centimeters. Then thirdly, you have learned that in finding a scale, remember our formula is saying distance is equal to map distance times scale. So as we are measuring your 2 points or 2 pictures that you are given, you are finding a map distance. And then afterwards, you need to find a scale. In finding a scale, we are saying finding a scale will depend on the unit that your answer should be. You will remember that you were taught that the distance is calculated in meters or in kilometers. So using the scale will depend. Will your answer supposed to be on meters or your answer supposed to be on the kilometer? So by now you're supposed to know that we measure in centimeter, then we convert into meters or into kilometers. So we're going to look at our baseline questions. We've got 3 questions. The first one, what is the formula of calculating a distance? Then secondly, you discussed how to find a map distance. And then thirdly, you identify the 2 units that distance can be calculated in. I'm going to give you just 2 minutes will be enough for these 3 questions. And then after 2 minutes, we proceed to the correct. Right? Looking there at our formula of calculating a distance, remember we are saying distance is equal to map distance times scale. Then secondly, how to find a map distance. To find a map distance, you measure the 2 pictures or the 2 points that you are given with your 30 centimeter ruler. And you are starting from 0, as you can see here. This will be our 0 in the first point, and then secondly in the second point. So where the second point ends, that's where you find your map distance. And then thirdly, identify the 2 units that distance can be calculated in. Remember, distance can be calculated in meters, and also it can be calculated in kilometers. Then we are dealing with map work. So obviously the terminology today will be based on the map work. So number 1, we need to learn what is a distance as we calculate this distance. So distance is the amount of separation between the 2 points or the object. Remember, the distance will always be calculated on 2 points or 2 pictures. So it's that amount of separation between those 2 points as well as the object on the surface of the earth. Then secondly, we're looking at the map. The map itself, how can we define a map? A map is a graphic representation of the drawn to scale and usually on a flat surface of pictures. And then number 3, we're looking at the demarcated. So when we are saying the area is demarcated, it means there is a dividing line in that area. Then number 4, we're looking at the scale. How can we define a scale? We are saying it refers to the relationship between the distance on the map as well as the actual distance on the ground. Remember, there is a difference between the two, your distance on the map as well as the one which is actually on the ground. Then your number 5, we're looking at the contour interval. When we're talking about the contour interval, we're talking about the difference between the two contour lines. Remember the space in between the two contour lines that are next to each other. We call it a contour interval. Then we're going to look at our next terminology, which is the area. When we're talking about the area, remember area can be calculated as well. So the area, it refers to a specific location or a region of the earth surface. Then next, we're looking at the gradient. What is the gradient? We are saying it refers to the measure of the steepness as well as the gentleness of the slope. Remember, as we calculate gradient, we want to examine, is the area steep or is the area gentle? Then number 8, we're looking at the magnetic declination. When we're talking about magnetic declination, is the angle between the magnetic north as well as the true north at the particular location of the earth surface. Then we're looking at our magnetic bearing. Magnetic bearing, we're talking about the horizontal angle between the local magnetic meridian as well as a line of the earth. You will remember in grade 8 when we are learning about the Greenwich as well as the Green Meridian. Then we're looking at our next, which is the instruction as well as information. So remember, this is a section in your exam that you will find in question 3 always. So in that, you will be given the instruction as well as information. So number 1, what are we looking at? We are looking at the map that we are using. So you've got a 1:50,000 of the topographical map and the 2829 dB, which is the Ladysmith. So I will suggest that each and every learner has his or her copy of the Ladysmith map so that it can be easier to work. So we've got the 2 sets of maps, which is the topographic map as well as your orthophoto map. So your scale of the topographic map is 1:50,000. And then we've got the map code, which is your 2829 dB. You will see at the top of your map as you get your own copy. And then we've got the extract from the 28 and 29 dB6, which is the Ladysmith orthophoto. Remember, you're supposed to have 2 sets of map always, your topographic map as well as your orthophoto map. So looking at our second instruction, remember we will be doing the map skills as well as your map calculation. The area demarcated in red on the topographical map represent the area covered on the orthophoto. So again, this gives you a clue that if you cannot be able to identify clearly on the orthophoto map, just go to the topographic map, because in that area that is covered in red, it is too small on the topographic map, but it is color and there is symbols. And then when you're looking at your orthophoto map, it is black and white, even though it is larger. Then we're looking at our question number 3. It says, which is the instruction, it says show all calculation. Remember, when you are marked in calculations, you will be marked per steps. So it is important that you show all the steps. You cannot just do the steps on the rough paper and then you come on your answer book, you only write the final answer. It means you will miss some of the marks. Then Marks will be allocated for steps in calculation, as they are saying, show all the calculations or show all the steps. Then we're looking at the map. We are saying we are using the map of Ladysmith. So obviously, even on the question paper, you will be given a map of South Africa and the location of that area so that you can be familiar with the province as well as the town. So here we've got the map of Ladysmith. As you can see, its location, it is located in KZN. By now, we all know the South African map as well as the provinces. Then, besides looking at the map also, you will also be given the general information about the area. Remember, sometimes you may not be familiar with the area. Sometimes it will be your first time hearing about the area, so you know nothing about that area. So that general information, it will come in hand so that you can get the clear view of the area. So if we can go through our general information, it's saying Ladysmith is located on the banks of the Klip River, which is the Stone River. So now you have the idea that in this Ladysmith, there is a river. Also, with the central business districts, remember our central business district, which is the CBD, and a large part of the residential area. So not only they have a river, even the residential area is there. The CBD is there in that area, located within the flood of basin of the river. Remember, we have that Klip River. And then it is on the foothills of the Drakensberg mountain. So there's also a mountain in this area, about 26 kilometers from the Van Riemen's Pass. So now you get the idea. The town has a subtropical highland climate. You also get the climate, the idea on the climate of the area, according to the Köppen climate classification, with the warmer summers and cool, dry winters. So now you have the idea of the area. During the summer, it has a warm as well as a wet, and during the winter, it is cool and it is dry. So it borders on the humid subtropical climate. The average annual precipitation is 639 millimeter, which is 25 in, with the most of the rainfall occurring during the summer. So by reading your general information, you now have the clue or the idea on how to expect in this area. So let us look at our map skills. When it comes to our map skills, you will find the questions, especially the one-word questions, whereby you will be given the multiple choice, or you need to choose from the brackets, or you need to fill in the missing words. So most of the time, when we are talking about the map skills, they can ask you any question based on the map, or any questions based on the general information of the area. So hence it is important that you read the general information and you see the location of the area that has been examined. So here we are given the Ladysmith. So Ladysmith is found in we are looking at the province where Ladysmith is found. Should it be you were not given these options, option A, B, C, and D, but you were only given the map. So which means by knowing the provinces of the country, you will be able to identify this is KZN, which is KwaZulu Natal. So we have our Ladysmith is found in is it the Eastern Cape Province? Is it the Western Cape Province? Or is it the Gauteng Province? So the map skills are such questions. Then, as we've already identified that by looking at the map, which is where is it located, you are able to locate the correct answer, which is KwaZulu Natal. Then we're looking at our second question. In our second question, it says the scale of the orthophoto map. So remember, we have learned this in grade 8 and 9, how to interpret the scale of the orthophoto map. So number A, 1 centimeter represent 100 meters, 1 centimeter represent 100 centimeter, and number C, 1 centimeter represent 500 meters, and then D, 1 centimeter represent 500 centimeters. Remember the scale of the orthophoto map is 1:10,000. So I'm going to give you just a minute to figure out how to present the scale. I hope we are all done. So looking there at the scale of the orthophoto map, we are saying when we are interpreting it, it's 1 centimeter on the ground, which represent 100 meters on the ground. So in short, 1 centimeter represent 100 meters. Where is it taken? It is taken from the original scale, which is 1:10,000. Then we're looking at our third questions. So remember, we are still on the map skills. So in the third question, the contour interval on the topographic map. As we have explained that the contour interval, we're talking about the difference between the two contour lines. And the contour interval on the topographic map, which means there is a contour interval for the orthophoto map. Remember, you'll always be using the two sets of maps. So here we are looking at the topographic map. Is it 20 meters? Is it 20 centimeter? Is it 20 kilometer? Is it 20 millimeter? The unit is also important. Sometimes you will not get the very same question in a multiple choice, but they just give you what is the contour interval of the topographic map. So hence, it is important that you know the units. So I'm going to give you another 1 minute, and then after 1 minute, we will be able to do the solution. Looking there at our options, we're looking for the contour interval of the topographic map. So remember the contour interval of the topographic map, it will always be written at the bottom of your map, even if you have forgotten. So if you can all go through before the references, above the references, you will see there the contour interval is 20 meters of the topographic map. Then you're looking at your orthophoto interval, which is 5 meters. So each and every time when we're not sure, just confirm with the map. Then, what I've said, it is important that you know the units. So imagine if you are not given the options, but they only ask, what is the contour interval of the topographic map? Then you write 20 centimeters, which is not true because the unit for the contours is the meters. So 20 meters. Remember, for the orthophoto, it will be your 5 meters. Again, you do not have to cram. It is always given on the map. Then question number 4. We are talking about the coordinate 28 and 29. In front of you, you have your map of Ladysmith. So with that map, you have your 28 degrees and you have your 29 degree. Again, these questions are taking you back to grade 8 and 9, where we have learned about the difference between your latitude and your longitude. Which side is the latitude and which side is the longitude. So look at the map and then you locate the 28, and then you look at the map and you locate the 29 the degree. Then you make your combination 28 and 29 based on the Roman figure 1, which is 28 degrees south, which is the latitude. Roman figure 2, 29 degrees, which is the east longitude. Then the Roman figure 3, 28 degrees east, which is your latitude, or Roman figure 4, which is your 29 degrees south and the longitude. So hence I've said, go back to grade 8 and 9 and you remind yourself what your teacher told you about the latitude as well as the longitude. So you have your 28 as well as your 10, your 29. You need to locate them according to their coordinates. Right? I believe we are done with our combination. So we're looking there at the 28 as well as 29 coordinates. So you'll see that the first, we have our A. In our A, it's Roman figure 1 as well as Roman figure 2. So this is the South African map. Remember, in South Africa, we always start with the latitude, which is the south direction, followed by the longitude, which is the east direction. So therefore, your 28 degrees, even if you are not sure, in that map, you are given the direction which is S. So that direction which is S is giving you the indication that this is a south. So we always start with the latitude, which is the south direction. Then if you're looking at the top there, you have your 29 degrees and 45 minutes with east direction. So in South Africa, east direction is a longitude. So therefore, we have 28, which is the latitude, and 29, which is the longitude. So the correct answer there is A, with the combination of Roman figure 1 as well as Roman figure 2. Then we're looking at our question number 5. The question number 5, it says the town has, we're talking about the Ladysmith town. It has, which is a dash, highland climate. So here we are looking at in terms of the climate. So if you are not familiar with the area, obviously the general information will assist you. So we have our 4 options. Is it a desert highland climate? Is it a dry highland climate? Is it a subtropical highland climate? Or is it a tropical highland climate? Again, I'm going to give you another 1 minute, and then after 1 minute, we proceed to the correction. Right? Looking there, we were looking at the Ladysmith town. Does it have a desert or a dry or a subtropical or a tropical highland climate? We have learned in the general information that the town, it has a subtropical highland climate, which is our option C. Then we're looking at our question number 6. In our question number 6, it's saying Ladysmith receives the most of the rainfall in which season? Is it a spring? Is it an autumn? Is it winter? Or is it summer? So again, the importance of reading the general information so that you don't miss all these answers. So again, 1 minute, and then after 1 minute, we do the correction. Looking there, we were looking at the season where Ladysmith received its rainfall. Its most rainfall, it is during the summer season. Then we now in our map calculations. So in our map calculation, we're going to start with the distance. It's saying refer to the orthophoto map. Hence, it is important that you start by reading the instructions so that you do not use the incorrect map. So referring on the orthophoto map, so everyone by now is on the orthophoto map. What are you looking for at the orthophoto map? You calculate the length of the river. The length of the river, it's supposed to be in meters. So where is this river? It is between number 8 that you find in block A2 as well as number 9 that you find in block A5. So again, you are given a formula. In grade 12, there is no need to claim the formula, but you need to learn how to do the steps because the formula will always be provided. So here we are given formula. Actual distance is equal to map distance times scale. Then we're looking at mark allocation. It is saying 2 times 1, which means you need to do 2 things there for you to obtain that 2 marks. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes so that you do your measurements correctly, and then after that you do your calculation. Remember, you're going to need your calculator, you're going to need your string, and then you're going to need your ruler. So your 3 minutes starts now. Right? I believe that we are all done. So in this, we were given to calculate the length of the river. Remember, the river doesn't go on a straight line, so on an actual distance. So what you do, as you see this string here, you need to use one. So even if you don't have the string during the exam, you can even take your shoelace and then you measure with it, because we are measuring the length of the river. So as you can see there in block 8 up until block 9, the river, it flows there from block 8, then it crosses a B2 up until your B, your C1, your C2, then you see there it is moving from C3 up until your C4, your C5, up until it reaches the block A5. So what you do with the string, you move along with the river up until you at the end. So if you only use the straight line, you will get an incorrect answer. So the string, it helps you so that you know how this river is flowing, and so that you can be able to measure. So once you have measured it with a string, you then now take the ruler so that you measure that string. So if you can see there in our map distance, we have found 26 centimeter. So where do we get that 26 centimeter? We have took the string and we have moved along with it from the length of the river up until from number 8, which is in A2, up until we have reached number 9, which is A5. Remember, we are not doing it on a straight line. You take a string and you follow the path of the river. So if you follow that path, you're gonna get between 25 to 27. Remember, you take the string and you move along with it within the river path. And then after you are done in those 2 blocks that you are given, you then take your ruler to measure the string. So 26, we're going to use 26 because some will get 25 and some will get 27. Remember, you always given 3 options. So we are using the orthophoto map, and the scale is 1:10,000, which is in meters, it is 100. So therefore, our map distance, we have measured it and we've got 26. What else now is times a map scale. Our map scale, it's depending on what our answer is supposed to be, which is the meters. Hence, we use the hundreds. So where do we get the first answer? You get the first correct answer in the map distance. By getting a correct map distance, then you are awarded a mark. Then secondly, you need to calculate now. Use a calculator. Do not assume. 26 centimeter times your 100 will give you 260 meters. That will be your second mark. So remember, all the calculations are marked according to the step, and each and every step is awarded, unless they told you to calculate a certain step and not all of them. Then we're moving to our second calculation. In our second calculation, it's saying refer to the topographical map. So now you're looking at your topographical map. In your topographical map, it says calculate the area in meters of the block marked in red. So we are seeing there the area marked in red, it is between your C2 up until C3, then it moves up until your D3 to your D2. So you calculate that area that is covered in red. Again, the formula you will always be given. You are given area is equal to length times breadth. Remember the map calculation again. Some we have learned them in grade 8 and 9 by the distance. Then when you reach to grade 10, 11, you've learned about the area. So even in grade 12, the area is still the same. It's either you calculate in meters or you calculate in kilometer. So here we are given to calculate the area in meters. So again, I'm going to give you 4 minutes to calculate the area, and then after 4 minutes, we'll then proceed to the corrections. So take note that you having 5 marks, which is 5 times 1. Each and every step is 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. So make sure that you do not miss any step. Right? Looking there, for your area, again, you need your ruler, 30 centimeter ruler, and you need your calculator. So what you do, you are given the formula, which is area is equal to length times breadth. So here, you first calculate the length alone. Then after, you calculate the breadth alone. Then once you are done, you then use the scale. So here, you need to know that you measure the two sides in that area covered in red. You measure the two sides, and then those two sides, the one that is longer, that will be your length, and the one that is shorter, that will be your breadth. So here, we're going to use your 4,2, which is your length, because this is longer than your 3.7. And then again, you will have the difference. Some will get 4.1 and some will get 4.3. Remember, we are using different rulers. So now, they said our answer is supposed to be on the meters, which means you need to use 500 because you are using a topographic map. And then again, you use 500 because we are using a topographic map. So again, when it comes to the second side, which is your breadth, the shorter side, your 3.7. So some will get 3.6 and some will get 3.8. You will always be given that option. Then once you are done, there is the measurement, which is the map distance, then times what the formula or what the answer is supposed to be. So here you are using 500 because it's supposed to be on a meter. Then once you are done, you then take the answer. So the answer of length, your 4.2 times 500 will give you 2,100 meters and not kilometer. So times your 3.7 times 500 will give you 1,850. And then after that, you then multiply. Remember the formula, it said length times breadth. So you calculate the length alone, you get the answer. You calculate the breadth alone, you get the answer. So once you are done, you then go back to the formula. You take the answer of length times the answer of breadth. Then you get your final answer. In your final answer, remember, it's supposed to be on a meter squared. So because you now have the meter times another meter, then it will give you the meter squared. So on the meter squared, you will be adding 0,000 to make it on the meter squared. Then we're looking at our next calculation. In our next calculation, it's saying refer to the topographical map. So we are still within the topographical map, but now we are calculating a true bearing. Where are we calculating a true bearing of J in block C4? So you see there in J in block C4, it is inside your mine, your excavation. Then from the dam H. So this is very important to note. Which point did they say from? In block B1. So by now, your true bearing, remember the point whereby they are saying from, it's where you draw your true north line and then you connect with the second point. So if we are looking there at H, we have in block B1, as you can see there is a dam that is pointed by H. So by now, you're supposed to know that H will become your true north line. And you do not draw your true north line inside the H, but where the arrow is pointing. So therefore, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to work on this. Remember again, for you to calculate the true bearing, you need your ruler so that you can be able to draw your true north line so that it is straight. And then you need to have your protractor whereby you're gonna have that angle. So your 3 minutes start now. After 3 minutes, we then do the correction. Right, looking there, I said to you, you're supposed to have your protractor and you're supposed to have your ruler. So what you do in your ruler, remember we were given from dam H. So if you're looking there at the dam H in block B1, you will see this is H and then this is the triangle, the arrow. So remember our true north line, we draw it straight to the triangle or to the arrow. And then afterwards, we were also given J, which is in block C4. So that J in block C4, you then connect. So your J in block C4, you then connect like this. So once you are done, you then place your protractor. It is important that you use this one, the 361, especially when your feature is on this side, because if you are using the one that is half, it means you still need to add the 180. But if you are using the 360, you don't add anything because it gives you the straight angle. So here, it is also important to know how you place your protractor. You're looking at 360 as well as 0. It's supposed to be at the north or at the top. Then what you do, you see the cross in your protractor. It's the one that you place on where the 2 points are meeting. So where the 2 points are meeting, you then make a mark on where you're going to place your protractor. And then in the true north line, this line on the protractor is where you put in your true north line, make sure it is within so that you get the correct angle. So if we have done this, you're supposed to get between 114 degrees to 116 degrees. So again, I would suggest that if you got the angle correct or incorrect, try again to measure up until, because now you know that you're supposed to get between 114 to 116 so that you practice for future. The point that says from, it's the one that you draw your true north line, and then you connect with the second point. Once you connect with the second point, you then make a mark where you're going to place your protractor. So the cross in your protractor, it's the one that goes into that mark. And this line on the protractor is the one that goes on the true north line. And therefore, you just read what angle. So if it was here at 70, you say 70 degrees. So this one we are looking, it is 115, which means it was somewhere here. Hence, we get our angle as 115 or 114 to 116. Again, you will be given a difference of 3. Then we're moving right along to our fourth calculation. Again, it says refer to the topographic map. Use your answer from question 3 above to calculate the magnetic bearing. So now we are calculating a magnetic bearing from J in block C4 of J in block C4 from the dam H in block B1 for the current year. What is current year? Is 2025. So again, you are given a formula of magnetic bearing, which is magnetic bearing is equal to true bearing plus magnetic declination. So while the instruction is saying use the answer of question 3. So if you are using that answer, remember we were finding the true bearing, which means by now you have your true bearing between 114 to 116. So now you need to work out on your magnetic declination, and then after magnetic declination, then you come back to the formula where true bearing plus magnetic declination. So take note of the mark allocation as well, which is 5 times 1, which means you need to do 5 things there. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to work on this calculation, and then after 5 minutes, we will be able to proceed to your correction. Right, girls and boys, I hope we are still together and we are done. So we're looking then at our magnetic declination. Remember, we've already find our true bearing from question number 3. So now what you need to do is to work out on your magnetic declination. Hence, it is important to know the steps of your magnetic declination, because sometimes when you are getting it in a magnetic bearing, you will not be given steps, but you need to memorize them. So first thing that you need to do when you are getting the magnetic declination for the current year is to use the mean information. When I'm saying the mean information, if you are looking there at the side of your map, in the topographic map, you have your mean magnetic declination, which is your 21 degrees and 3 minutes west, and the year is 2001. Then you are given your mean annual change, which is 8 minutes westward, 1995 to 2000. We do not use that year. We use the year that is together with the mean magnetic declination. So what happens? The current year is 2025. So you always start with the current year because you do not want a negative answer. So 2025 minus 2021 minus 2001 will give you 24 marks. Then your first mark. Then your annual change, you take as it is from the map. There is no mark allocation. Then your total change. Why it is important to know your annual change, so that you are able to find your total change. So in your total change, it's where you're going to get your mark number 2. So what happens here, you take the answer of different in years, then you multiply with the mean annual change. 24 times 8 will give you 192 minutes. So in those 192 minutes, we have learned from grade 10 that when we are calculating your magnetic declination, your minutes, they're supposed to be below 60, which means 59 up until 0. So once you get the minutes that are above 60, it means now you need to apply the rule that says 60 minutes is equal to 1 degree, which is 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. That degree is equal to 1 hour. So what you do, you then make a breakdown. 192 minus 60, you get the answer, then you carry 1 degree. As you see here, our minutes, breaking them down, it is giving us 3 minutes as well as 3 degrees and 12 minutes, which means we have minus 63 minus 60. And then we were left with 12. So now 12 is below 60, which means it is safe to leave our minutes. That's where you're going to get your second mark. Then your mark number 3, what happened is your magnetic declination. When you are finding your magnetic declination, it means you need to start with the mean magnetic declination. Our mean magnetic declination, which is your 21 degrees and 3 minutes. Then plus, why are you adding? Because in our mean annual change, we were given westward. Westward, it means you need to add. If it was eastward, you will then separate. So what are you adding? You are adding the breakdown of the minutes. So 21 degrees and 3 minutes plus the 3 degrees and 12 minutes from the breakdown of the total change. Then at this point, you add the minutes or you add the units that are the same. Your 21 degrees plus your 3 degrees will give you how many? 24 degrees. Then your 3 minutes plus your 12 will give you how many? Will give you how 15 minutes. So therefore, your magnetic declination for 2025 will be 24 degrees and 15 minutes west of true north. So that's your mark number 3. Then what happened? The 2 marks, you get it from the magnetic bearing. Remember, once you are done calculating your magnetic declination, you then go back to the formula. You now had your true bearing, which is 115, the one that we calculated in question number 3, plus the magnetic declination that we recently calculated, which is 24 degrees and 15 minutes. Then after your 115 degrees plus 24 degrees, because you always add the units that are the same. So you have a degree and you have a degree, so you add the 2. As you add the 2, it will give you 139 degrees. Then the minutes are the same because you only have 1 minute, which is 15. So the range, remember, it will depend. For those who got 114, they will have 138. Those who got 116, they will have 140. So that's where the marks were allocated. Then to proceed with our lesson, we're going to look at our next question. In our next question, this is a follow-up question from calculating the magnetic declination. It says, what is the purpose of calculating magnetic declination for the current year? As we calculate it every year, what is the purpose? So I'm going to give you just 1 minute, and then after 1 minute, we will then discuss what is the purpose of calculating our magnetic declination. Looking there, the purpose of calculating magnetic declination is because the magnetic declination changes over time. So as it changes over time, and it is needed to determine the true north. Some might say we calculate magnetic declination so that we don't get lost. Why? Because it is changing over time. So as it changing over time, it means it needs to be calculated yearly. Then we're looking at our next calculation. In our next calculation, it's saying calculate the average gradient. So again, the instruction refer to the topographic map. So which means we are still on the topographic map. What are we doing now? We are calculating the average gradient between your spot height. Remember, the spot heights are identified by the point in the map. Your spot height 1175 in block E1, as well as your trip beacon. Your trip beacon, remember, they are a triangle in your map. So between trip beacon 324 in block E2. And then again, you are given the formula. Gradient is equal to vertical interval over horizontal equivalent. So again, I'm going to give you another 5 minutes so that you can be able to do the calculation on your own before we do the corrections. My learners, I hope we are still together. So let us look at our correction. As we are calculating the gradient, we looking at the points that we are given. We are given spot height 1175 and the trip beacon 328 in block E2. So what you do, you first work out on the vertical interval, and then after it's a horizontal equivalent. Then you come back. So let us see. What happened is you are given the spot height 1175 as well as the trip beacon 328. You do not use the trip beacon 328 because a trip beacon is not a spot height, but that trip beacon was the indication on where you're going to get the second spot height. So what you do, you locate this trip beacon, which is in block E2. So you go to block E2 and you see that trip beacon 324, it has a spot height of 1174,4. So what happened is you then take the bigger, you minus to the smaller, so that again you do not have or you do not get the negative answer. So your 1175, which is the spot height, it's bigger than 1172,4. So as you minus the 2, you will be left with 2,6 meters. So as we are left with 2,6 meters, remember, gradient is always calculated in meters. So the unit that you will always use is the meters. So by doing this, you have your vertical interval, which is 2.6 meters. How do you get it? You subtract the 2 spot height so that you're going to remain with 1 spot height. Then after, you are given the horizontal equivalent. So horizontal equivalent, it is referred to as a distance, whereas the vertical interval is referred to as a height. So hence you minus the 2 heights. Then your distance, which is your horizontal equivalent, what you do, you take your ruler again, starting from 0, you place the spot height is at E1, and then the second trip beacon is at 324. So what happens, you place it at the spot height, which is 1175. Remember, the spot height is represented by a dot. So should it be there is no dot on the map, you place it at the first of the first number. Then your trip beacon 324, you put it inside the triangle. You do not put it on the number on the spot height, but inside your triangle. So you're gonna get your 2,2 centimeters. So some they can get 2,1, some they can get 2,3. So we are using a topographic map and gradient is always calculated in meters. So therefore we use 500. So your 2,2 centimeter times 500 will give you 1,100 meters. Remember, gradient is calculated in meters. Then after, you go back to the formula. As we are going back to the formula, the answer of vertical interval, we have found 2,6 meters over. The answer of horizontal equivalent, we have found 1,100 meters. Then what happens is every time you divide both sides with the vertical interval, which is your 2,6, divide by 2,6. So this you do it manually. Do not put the fraction on the calculator because you're going to get the incorrect answer. So what happens? 2,6 divided by 2,6 will give you 1. 1,100 divided by 2,6 will give you 423,7. So this is a fraction. Remember, the answer of gradient is supposed to be on a ratio scale. So let me explain the fourth mark. So you are given the first mark on your vertical interval. Then you are given the second mark on the correct distance, and you are given the third mark on the correct answer, which means because you have used the correct scale, then you have the correct answer. Then after this, you need to go back to the formula. So you cannot start with 1,100 over 2,6 because this will be incorrect. So you need to start with the answer of vertical interval as per formula and followed by the horizontal equivalent as per formula. So this is wrong. This is correct. Then your 2.6 over 1,100, that the mark is allocated there, that you did not miss the formula. So your 1 over 4,2 over 423,07 on the fraction, you then break it into a ratio scale because the answer of gradient is supposed to be on a ratio scale. So 1:423,7. That's where you're going to have your mark number 5. Remember again, each and every step is supposed to be visible because you are awarded for each and every step. So what does it mean? It means if you can just omit these 2 steps, you'll be losing 2 marks because you are awarded per step. Then we proceed, we're looking at our homework for today. Homework for today, it says, based on the topographic map and the orthophoto, you answer the following question. Number 1, what is the contour interval of the orthophoto map? Then secondly, you give the meaning of the topographic map scale. Then number 3, what is the formula of calculating a distance? Then number 4, why is magnetic declination should be calculated every year? Then we need to summarize what we have learned so far. We have learned about interpreting the map skills, and we have learned about calculating. In our calculation, we have looked into the length as we're calculating the length of the river. We have looked into the distance. We have looked into the magnetic bearing, and we have looked into the magnetic declination. So to give you the preview, and also we have learned about the area in calculating an area. Then I'm going to give you the gradient as well, as we have learned about calculating the gradient. Then in our preview for our next lesson, we will still be focusing on the map work. So on the map work, we will be looking at the map interpretation as well as your GIS. So we have came to an end of our lesson today. Hopefully you have enjoyed the lesson, but most of all, I hope you have learned. Thank you and stay tuned for the next lesson.